Hello, Ad Copy class. Today we have our real live client, Heidi Ailey here, and we are going to talk about your next assignments. It'll probably be a two-part couple of assignments for Heidi's program. It's a side business, and one of numerous that she does. And we'll have two videos. There's already one video that exists in my playlist with Heidi talking about her movement classes called Move It. But she also offers some other aspects of her programming that she, as a private business person, provides. So we're going to talk about the actual other pieces of what she does in her business and the actual ad copy assignments that will go along with that. Now, that said, there will be a number of collateral text pieces that you will find on D2L that will assist you in compiling the information that you will need. So don't feel like you're going to have to get everything from this video and the other video. There are a number of typewritten pieces that Heidi's given us as background material for preparing the written pieces that you'll be working on. In addition, I want to remind you to please take notes as you watch this, because if we were talking, or if you were talking to Heidi in person, I am talking to Heidi in person, but if you all were talking with her as well in a client meeting, you would need to be taking notes. And this would be an opportunity to take very copious notes. And you would be asking her questions to sort of fill in the gaps of the areas that you don't understand. I'll try to do a little bit of that, but we don't want this meeting to wane or wax too long. So we'll get started. Heidi, can you tell us a little bit about what you do, if you can kind of give us the big picture, and then we'll sort of home in on what you'd like for us to do for you.
Okay. I want to give you a little background first as to how this whole enterprise organically developed, and why I need your help in shaping it into something that my potential clients can really understand and know what the menu is. I have a background in classical music and in dance. I spent a large portion of my life doing both. And so I've arrived at this point in my life with a real mosaic of skills that I can offer in different ways. And they've sort of been discovered since I moved here about 13 years ago, kind of unintentionally, really. And by networking, I've ended up getting quite a number of jobs and repeat jobs with some of the same people doing this kind of movement work. And it's kind of expanded into various areas. So what happens now is that I see that I'm not just offering one kind of activity, I'm offering a number of kinds of activities that will appeal to a number of different kinds of clients. So I need to be clear about what those activities are, who would be interested in them, and how to find out more about them.
And
Does that make sense?
Yes, and that is our job to help you do that.
So I'm coming to you saying, help, help. I know how to do this stuff, and you need to shape it for me in a way that really represents what I'm already doing. So I'm not creating a new product. I'm clarifying and packaging a product that already exists, okay?
Right.
And that already has interested clientele. So you all are lucky your job's easier.
Yes.
Because of that.
We already have some target audiences that are established, so that's good.
Now, I have very good feelings about working with Lisa's students because I've already gotten this amazing piece from a previous class, and some of the materials that she's going to show you will give you more information because there has been a lot of communication already about one aspect of what I do, which is rhythm and movement classes oriented mostly towards children.
And that's what we did our last assignments for Heidi regarding were the movement
So there's
classes.
a lot of material already around that part of it that you can access. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time describing that. But what I've got now is an enterprise which I'm calling Move It. And under that general title, I want to be able to list, like a menu, the different things that I offer, which include this class based on the Dalcroze technique of rhythm and movement, which is a way of teaching musical concepts through movement, basically. And will also include the other things that I do that I've sort of invented out of this mosaic of skills, one of which is a class that I call Understanding Music, a class for dancers. And there'll be a description of that in text form that you'll be able to access. There's also rehearsal coaching. I do help with casting for movement pieces, and also choreography. So I don't know if those three things, they all begin with C, which is sort of attractive to me.
Yes, that's alliterative.
Right, choreography, casting, and coaching. So maybe that's one category. Mm-hmm. And the second category is Understanding Music, a class for dancers. And the third category is the rhythm and movement aspect. So I want a brochure copy that could also be used as an email blast or something like that, that presents Move It as the overarching, what would you call that?
An umbrella.
Umbrella, or sort of the company label, although it's a one-person company. The brand, right. And says to various clientele, which I'll mention who I think that might be, that these are all the different things that I can do, and that they're very easy to customize for different needs, and that I'm really flexible that way, and that this is the information about, enough information to get people interested, and this is how you contact me to find out more. Okay, so that's basically what I'm after. Shall I talk about who I think might be interested in this kind of thing?
That would definitely be a question. We'd call that target audience.
Okay.
So Heidi's going to tell us who her perceived target audiences are, and then I would say let's just stick with the target audiences that she wants to try to reach for now, but we might be able to suggest, some of you all might be able to suggest some additional target audiences after you're more familiar with what she does.
Yeah. I think it's really important to understand what it is that I'm doing in order to market it. I think that's something that that I learned from working with the last class, that don't jump to conclusions about what it is by stereotyping it with something else that you're familiar with.
Because this is not like anything that we are probably
The rhythm
familiar
and movement classes are not dance classes. They are not. And I'm very clear about that in my information, but there's a tendency to leap to that because that's something you can nail down easily. But that's a misrepresentation of what I do, and it eliminates a lot of my target audience if you say that.
Right.
So there's a danger zone there. And I really welcome suggestions, if you all do really understand what I'm doing, of other target audiences that you can think of. Because one of the real selling points of what I do is its adaptability to different groups. That is unusual and unique, if you're looking for something unique about it, which I know you always are.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that it's very important because that's what
Yeah.
we're going to pitch is what makes
It's special.
your business and the things that you offer in your business special or
Right.
unique.
So
She knows me so well.
I know. I've learned it all from her. So the target audiences that I actually have experience with now and I know have been interested in this kind of work and actually hired me for this kind of work are dance studios, dance companies, anything dance related. Is interested in understanding music. They might be interested in having their young children that have no skills yet do a rhythm and movement kind of thing. Obviously, casting a ballet needs help from an outsider. They like to bring in an impartial person to help cast so that the main teachers of the studio are not just picking their favorite, cutest ballerinas for the parts.
Right. Personalities aren't in it.
Right. Coaching, rehearsal coaching is also attractive to dance studios for when it's the kind of thing you bring in somebody to help you polish a piece once it's basically set. You need a fresh set of eyes. And choreography is obviously going to be attractive to dance studios. So dance studios, whether they're on an advanced level or a very community level, are a big target audience for all of those things. However, they're not the only target audience. I've done a lot of work with summer camps that are not camps that are based on movement at all. Some of them are music camps or even camps that just offer a variety of activities of all kinds, from scientific experiments to arts activities to whatever, hikes. And the rhythm and movement classes are an excellent addition to that kind of thing because you can throw students together who have different levels of skills in other areas. And as long as they're within a fairly tight age range, I can keep them busy doing something fun and educational and active for an hour. And this is very helpful for their schedules when they need some kind of enrichment activity. So any kind of camp of that sort, whether it's movement-oriented, music-oriented, or just a day camp, is a good target audience for me. An audience that I don't have a lot of experience with yet, but that I'd like to get into more, is the seniors, because the rhythm and movement classes would be very applicable to that group and could be customized for that group. So that's something that could be explored.
And you mean seniors as in older persons,
right?
Right, and probably persons 60 or 70 and up.
Like a senior center. They have different kinds of classes that they offer. I think this would fit well into that kind of setting also. I've also taught this type of thing to public school teachers who need to integrate movement activities into their classroom. They don't have a dance studio to work with. They don't have a lot of equipment. They sometimes don't even have very much space. And these activities can be adjusted and tailored to work in a classroom situation, even at a desk. So teacher training is another area that could be explored.
So that teachers can actually do some of these activities
Right.
that you train them to do.
Either they bring me into their classroom to do a session during their rec period or whatever, recreation, or I work with a group of teachers to train them with some simple, class ideas that they can integrate in a 20-minute, half-hour, 45-minute session in the middle of their day in their classroom. So that's another area that could be developed a little bit more that's not as developed. So I don't want it to necessarily be identified strictly with children.
Right.
For some of the venues that I work in, a brochure that really just focuses on that is very helpful because it's not a dance class and it needs a little description for people to understand it. But for this piece, what I want is to open those doors a little bit more and emphasize the fact that it can go anywhere. We can make this go anywhere.
Any age, apparently,
Right.
Essentially.
Right. So some of the things that you'll see in the materials that Lisa's going to give you will explain what's unique and special about especially the rhythm and movement aspects. And that can be integrated, but I want you to be careful about not focusing it too much just on the children in this particular piece.
And or not focusing too much on the rhythm and movement
Right.
aspect, because there are so many other
Right.
activities
Yeah.
that you offer or services that you offer.
Right. And actually, as I was driving to work this morning, I thought of another one I could create.
Oh, no.
So,
There's more.
maybe the bulleted list needs a little extra space because
One more spot.
Yeah, I just invented this Understanding Music, a class for dancers this summer and taught it in 2 separate places, and it was really successful and really necessary. And because I have a foot in both of those worlds, I'm sort of uniquely qualified, if I can quote my own press release, as Lise likes to say, about people who get a little bit too egotistical. He's just read his own press release.
And believed it.
But yeah, I am uniquely qualified to do that because I do have that understanding, technical understanding in both of those worlds.
And that's unusual.
And that is
That's
unusual.
a real selling point for what Heidi is and offers.
Right.
Is that she is a musician and a dancer and a teacher and brings all of that together.
Right. So the idea is that, this list could expand at some point and all under the umbrella of Move It. It's all about, in some way, it's about moving.
Yes.
All of it.
And speaking of your experience, you talk about that some in the other video, and we do have some biographical information on Heidi as well, and I won't make her repeat that here. But obviously some of that, in small part, will need to be included in this information. You just want to be careful to not do too much of a large chunk of that so that it slows down reading, slows the flow, but enough of it to instill confidence in Heidi and her abilities so that people will want to come to her as an expert. Something that I want to draw your attention to, is that the target audience says of what you offer are of many ages. But our actual target audience of what we're going to write for you to put into another brochure, and a larger brochure that encompasses all that you're offering right now in these areas. She does more. Don't think this is all that she does. But the target audience for the pieces that we're going to write is probably of, what do you think the age range? We're talking probably about senior center directors or activity directors at senior centers, teachers,
Right.
of varying kinds,
Right.
whether they be dance teachers, dance studio owners,
Right.
or teachers in public schools or
Right.
private schools. So we're really looking at more of a target audience for our writing to be, let's say, mid-20s to 30 to 40 or 50-ish, right?
Probably mid-20s to 50.
So we're not trying to target our copy to a 10-year-old
No.
or a teenager. We're targeting...
Hire this person to work in your
Right.
studio, school, camp, senior center, blah, blah, blah.
So it's probably, we're actually targeting teachers for the most part.
Right.
In one way or another.
Or administrators.
Or administrators at senior
Activity
centers.
directors, yeah.
So that does narrow.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We don't want to try to target everybody. But that does narrow our target audience some for our actual focused writing. Is there anything that we haven't covered that we can't cover also by giving them additional text that you would like to share with them that would help them with this particular project?
Probably what's lacking, I think the understanding music class, what I gave you for a description, it tells a lot.
And I'll post that on D2L.
The material about the rhythm and movement classes, I think, is really thorough.
It is.
Probably what's missing is the selling points for the casting and rehearsal coaching.
Yes.
I probably need to say something promotional about why I would be a good person to do those things.
Yes.
Particularly,
Right.
Like, why would you bring me to do that? Well, because, and I can maybe give you some copy on this.
Okay.
Because I have a very critical eye, but I can explain what I see in a way that's non-threatening, supportive, and inspiring, rather than critical and undercutting.
Yeah.
So I'm sensitive to the culture of your particular enterprise, et cetera, those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because there needs to be something, I think, there needs to be a little information on each thing that kind of says to somebody, oh, that sounds good.
Right.
I like that.
And not in too much detail in
Right.
this particular instance, because we won't have that much room.
Just a little morsel,
Yeah, enough to tantalize them and, again, instill confidence in you.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll give Heidi that writing assignment for providing.
Just keeping the whole world busy here.
Yes, just assigning to everybody. Be careful, don't walk by me. I'll give you an assignment. But we'll post as much background information on D2L as we can provide. If you have questions, I know that Heidi likes to make herself available as we're working on these projects, which is very kind, because as you can tell, she's very busy doing that. And she works at Mary B. Martin School of the Arts with me as well, and several other things. But we'll gather that information, have it posted for you on D2L. If you have questions, contact her or me. And we're looking forward to seeing what you come up with. As I said, you'll probably have 2 assignments on differing weeks. You'll have the brochure copy, and then on a second week, you'll have the direct mail, email newsletter, email blast copy for a second assignment. But it'll all be with the same background information and a lot of the same verbiage that you just recraft slightly for the differing medium. So we're looking forward to seeing what you do, and we thank Heidi for working with us.
Thank you all very much. I got some real gems out of working with the last class. It's interesting to see what you all come up with in a fresh way that I haven't thought of, so it's really valuable to me too.
And it's great for us to work with a real local client that we can talk to and ask questions of.
And that says, I'm not sure what I think about that. What do you think? Which is the way clients will act.
That is right. Clients need some input from us as well.
You help us define what it is we want.
And sometimes we literally do that. Help you think about it and sort through what you knew, but hadn't really put
articulated,
together. So thank you all, and thanks to Heidi, and we'll see how this goes. It's going to be fun. We're going to move it for Heidi.